yourself to go again. Cold water in your face is gonna bring you back to this awful place. Knuckle merchants and the bankers too, who must get up and learn those rules. Riverman and Crazy Chief, one says sun and one says sleep. Now the AM, the FM, the PM too, turning out that boogaloo. It gets you up and it gets you out, but how long can you keep it up? I said, give me Honda, give me Sony. It's so cheap and it's so phony. Hong Kong dollar, Indian cents, English pounds and the Benjamins. I said, New York! Don't stop and give it all you got. Say New York! Come on and get up. Don't stop and give it all you got. Say New York! Come on and get up. Don't stop and give it all you got. Say New York! Get up. You just don't stop and give it all you got. Looking for a rise to better my station. Take my baby to sophistication. See the ads? Well, isn't it nice? Better work hard cause I know the price. Now never mind that, it's time for the bus. And you'll get on cause you're one of us. The clocks go slow in the place of work. The minutes drag and the hours jerk. Now you wave bye-bye to the boss. It's your profit and it's his loss. You work anyway, the lunch bell rings. You take 1 hour and you do your thing.
Yeah, you can't see me, but I'm dancing back here, live from the Dog the Cat Studios on the Lower East Side of Manhattan. It's On the Horn with Andrew Einhorn. Hey, what's up, everybody? Nice to see you. I'm going a little bit rock and roll tonight. Loosen it up. I look good, right? Jewish cowboy. Saying hi to my mom, who's watching tonight, who everybody says, why don't you put her on the show? I mean, maybe yes, maybe no, unlikely. I'm also sporting my new AirPods because Austin told me they went on sale for $110 at Amazon, so I'm returning my old ones. I like white. I still feel like a little bit of an alien because they sit down, but whatever. This is the new normal. We're 2 weeks out from the election. And there's not much to say, and I'm going to dwell on just the happy and the positive because my guest tonight is so rockin', an old New York friend who fits right into the genre. But first I want to say something, and this is coming from the heart. This week I found it ironic that two people said to me, not at the same time, but close, what is it that you're trying to say, Andrew? What are you doing? What is the show all about? And I was like, well, you fucking forced me into it to start. I mean, listen, I was all over it. This fits into the cog of my wheel of life between books and TV shows and comedy and all the things. Anyway, they're like, you got to write it down. Where are you going? And I thought, all right, I'll write it down. So here's a little list. And I'm just going to touch on this because I'm open to thoughts. You can tell me what you want, what you don't. People who inspire me. This is things that I feel like this show is about. It's obviously very personal because it's my show and I get to do what I want. And it has similarities to my old public access show, which was called Dog the Cat, for those of you in the know. Things that bring me joy. People who bring me joy through artistic means. And I actually really said that. And that's true because so far I've had photographers and artists and painters and musicians and models. And these are the people that I'm used to being with and I feel comfortable with. Now, I will expand beyond that. But for now, I wrote my perspective, my archive. Obviously, I love sharing my work. And that makes me very happy because for 30 years since I came to New York, I've been shooting up a storm. And you know that. How to improve our planet is another one. Part of me feels like, and I haven't really touched on this in the show, but how do we make this a better world, a better place? Because right now we're having a little bit of a difficulty. Come on, Biden, Kamala. And then I wrote audience. You know what the audience is? People who like that. In other words, when I do what I like to do, and this has been the case in the past, usually people like it because it's coming from the heart. Speaking of the heart, or Arkansas, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to bring up our guest for this evening who's going to fill up our 49 to 56 minutes, Miss Shelly Watson.
Hey, everybody. Great to see you, Andrew.
And you.
You're my first guest in my new house.
What do you mean your new house? Where are you?
I am in Harrison, Arkansas. The Arkansas,
right.
or as I'm calling it, the Saw. I thought, I might bring a little New York, like WeHo, Soho, and I'm like, no, I'm living in the Saw.
Yeah, that works. It's got a little bit of an edge.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
on the edge.
I think of, yeah. I think I see your headdress. Am I allowed to call it that? Is there a better word for it? What do I call it?
No, it's a headdress. And you know, like you, Andrew,
Okay.
I love to create. It doesn't matter what
Yeah.
it is, I love to create. And this was something that I made.
Uh-huh.
And I made sure to have this out before I left. Because, you know, today
Okay.
is 1 week since I've been here. But I've only been in my house since Saturday, this past Saturday, because they were painting
Wow.
and doing all kinds of stuff. And I wanted to be sure to have something fabulous to wear. And I have to say, it's the weirdest thing to have white walls because, like you, I need color. I need color. And so, in the west wing of my new abode,
Yes.
I started with my kitchen and my living room, and this is just my studio. The only thing I do in here is I write, and I'll be doing my live Facebook shows in here as well.
Okay. There's going to need to be some soft things to cushion the light, the bouncing echo, because we got an empty room.
Because like I literally haven't, I've only unpacked a few things like my bedroom so I could sleep, some toilet paper so I could poop, you know, things, coffee.
Yep.
And one makeup palette, because, you know, normally, you know, I have these big gowns and these ginormous things, but apparently in Arkansas, there's an issue with condensation and mold. So I had some people come in and treat all of the rooms because I have tens of thousands of dollars worth of costumes and beautiful headpieces. And so it's taken longer because I would rather have them do everything right than ruin my 30 years of accumulation.
Well pronounced. I just want to go over because and tell people what we're going to talk about, because I actually went out and shot some video. This is kind of like the old days of Dog the Cat. I went to Central Park and I asked a question in regards to you. Whether a New Yorker with liberal tattooed pink haired, sorry, I mixed up pink and purple, so whatever, can survive with total strangers. And I got answers. I divided that into 2 1-minute segments, maybe a little longer. And then I did a political question, like what is going to happen in our country this week? Not after the election, this week. So I got good answers to that too. So, and aside from that, we have some still pictures because you happen to be in my bubble bath book.
Yes.
I edited
to be in that book, Andrew. I begged to be in that book.
I don't remember that. Are you sure I didn't beg you?
No, I begged you because, you know, you kind of have a type, Andrew. You kind of have a type. You like a certain type of lady. Okay, that is no secret. And I said, you need to get some big girls in there. You need to get women who look different than a beautiful Brazilian model with perfect titties that lean up to the sky, you know, shining on the moon. And I said, please let me come in the bathtub. And then I remember, like most women, you know, you're vain. So I did my hair all nice and everything. And the very first thing you said is, why don't you dump your head in the bathtub? And I said, okay, because it's not about vanity. It's about the art project. And then my favorite thing is you had me stick one of my giant boobs out your bathroom window with my head. Right. There is a picture of that. I loved it.
Yeah, nice. Well, I was very, very, very happy to have you because bodies are one thing, but personalities can't count for so much. And I interviewed people and you sang, and I actually looked at an hour's worth of video and I thought, do I go through this and cut it down to 2 minutes? But we have so much other stuff. I was like, and I know you probably have never seen the video, but we're not going to do that.
Wow.
But it's all right. So when you say I have a type of woman, just give me 1 second. What do you think that is?
I would say a nice caramel colored, live, natural beauty with good hair.
Sold. That sounds good. I usually tell people, they're like, well, what are you looking for? I go, I'd like an atheist Filipino that smokes pot nut cigarettes, doesn't mind sports, and loves to laugh. And I haven't found that yet, but whatever. I want to go right to a video just because I love this shit. I want to go to, because there's 2 of them. So hang on, I'm going to share the screen and we're going to see whether a liberal, tattooed, purple-haired woman can survive, according to people in Central Park in Arkansas.
I'm so excited.
Good. It's good. I spent a lot of time.
I'm just like, oh God, I think I know what they're going to say, but I like to be surprised. I don't hear the video, Andrew.
Oh, shit. Okay. Yeah, one of those things I forget to do. Sorry, gonna go back. Hold on. Thanks for letting me know. Fuck.
Well, I'm excellent at reading lips, so it's not a problem for me, but I think the folks in other places would like to hear that.
Yeah, no, this is essential. All right, hold on.
And now here's the video.
It's you have to hit one little share audio tab. I've told the company don't do that. Okay. Hopefully this shall work. Not if you can hear it.
So it's On the Horn with Andrew in the park. That's right, Central Park. I came out today to ask 2 questions. Whether they think my guest tonight can survive in a small town in Arkansas. And what's going to happen in politics this week? I don't know. Kind of liberal, tattooed, pink-haired woman like this, a native New Yorker, survive in a small town in Arkansas.
Fuck no.
Oh, I don't think she's gonna survive. The reason why she's not gonna survive because she's moving out from New York. Nowhere like in New York.
I haven't been to Arkansas, but I really don't think so.
On a scale of 1 to 10,
Yeah.
I want to say like 6.
No, she cannot.
Why not? Why can't she survive?
Oh, in Arkansas, in Trump's Arkansas, she made a bad move. Sorry.
Rethink this and don't go. Stay here in New York. We need you.
I don't know. I hope so if she wants to.
Yeah,
I hope can survive.
Yeah, she can be fine there.
If she's got a little rock, she can make it.
Why not? It looks like a very successful person. I'm sure you're gonna have success everywhere. So. Yeah.
All right. Cute, right? Tight. I was on skates, old school.
That I was just gonna say, Andrew, that's like how I met you. Like you were rollerblading, making movies. Well, in Abby, but
yeah, she's on my list too. So, what did you expect when you heard I was going to film? Like, what percentage of she's going to make it, she isn't, something in between? What did you think was going to happen?
well, it's interesting because I think a lot of people don't focus on the fact, will I make it? Other than Arkansas is a fucked up state.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And
sure, I heard the rumors.
Vibe was exactly what I thought. And believe me, I never in a million years ever thought that I would move to Arkansas, ever.
Let alone the South in general, I'm sure.
Well, no, because I'm extremely liberal, and I am a total professional weirdo. And my sister and her family live out here, but they're very religious, and they're neither Democrat or Republican. They only vote for who is pro-life.
Gotcha.
That's it.
Right.
That is it.
I know other people that only vote when they're pro-Israel or pro-abortion. So we have kind of opposite sides here. Yeah.
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 And,
all right.
The thing is I knew what it was going to be like here. And if you don't mind, I'd like to share with you how I ended up here, because a lot of people don't understand. I've been in New York for 30 years. I have succeeded at every single thing I've wanted to do. I have 2 degrees from Juilliard. I've sung at the Met. I've done stand-up comedy. I've done shows for MTV. I had a radio show. I host shows, I do all kinds of things. And, you know, when this pandemic hit, and literally literally is in the word, not as in like, oh my God, literally. But actually, I've been using that word now because I hate that word so much, so I'll take that back. When I saw every single one of my theaters close, and I live across the street from Mount Sinai in Columbus Circle, and seeing hundreds and hundreds of bodies being pulled out, and seeing what's going on, and seeing the reaction of New York, and seeing all the theaters shut down, and seeing what was going on, I never had a chance in 30 years to just stop my entire life. And I always knew I didn't want to be an old person in New York, because I'm not a native New Yorker. You know, native New Yorkers, they're like, I'm going to live and die here. One of my only fear ever of living in New York is being hurt and having nobody help me, because that's a big thing. And all of this stuff was going on. And like a lot of couples, my husband and I, you know, were fighting a lot because we were together all the time. We just had our 15-year wedding anniversary.
Oh, awesome.
And I just needed a place to get away where I wouldn't be recognized. I wouldn't know anybody. I didn't have to talk to anybody. I had no obligations. And I hadn't spoken to my sister in over 2 years because a lot of, you know, tension. So I just avoid that situation. And when I reached out to her and I said, listen, I need a place to go in the middle of nowhere with nothing to do except for write. And she offered me one of her lake houses at this place called Table Rock. Because out here you can buy 5 houses.
Okay.
And
well, the word lake is nice, so that sounds good.
Oh, it's a huge lake. And so I had this beautiful lake house, and the first 5 days I wrote over 300 pages. And it was just this outpouring of all of these things. And I'm not a religious person, but I definitely believe in humanity. And very much like you, I believe in people, and I believe in sharing your experience and just helping people no matter what. And I realized that I hadn't had a moment to reflect on what I was doing, just because I was riding the gig train. One job, and very, very luckily, one job to another job, to another job, to another job. I haven't had a Christmas off in 22 years because it's a big holiday. And when I was out here, I asked the universe, and I reached out to all of the women who I knew had wanted to do things that they were never be able to do because of working, like Nina Simone. Phenomenal woman, but all she ever wanted to do was to be a classical pianist. But they're like, you're a Black woman, nobody's going to see it. Why don't you play jazz? And although she's phenomenal, and she's, you know, she's synonymous with jazz music, seeing her as the years went by of doing such a phenomenal job at something that she loved, but it wasn't what she really wanted to do. Or like Madame Curie was another one. Here is a brilliant woman who couldn't go as far as she wanted to because she was a woman. And then I also called on women who faced massive adversity, yet still continue to do their art. Frida Kahlo, Amelia Earhart, like all of these women who had faced so many different things. And I said to the universe, I was like, I have no idea what to do. I know I can't stop performing. I know I need to do something. What do I do? And they said, it's time to write your book. And I've been approached by numerous people to write my biography because everybody's had an interesting life, but I've done a lot of really interesting things.
Time out. I just wanted to get that in. I didn't know this was a biography. You're talking about writing, but that's what okay.
Well, the writing was just journaling. I hadn't journaled in a long time because before I felt that I only journaled about shitty things that were happening in my life. You know, like Dear Diary, you know, today was a horrible day. Like not many people, it isn't the fucking cappuccino commercial where you're sitting there and you're like, what a beautiful day I had today. The birds are alive. No, a lot of people journal because they want to be like, I want to fucking kill my boss. You know,
right, of course.
None of that was happening. It was just all of these things about like, you know, I've done so many things. What can I do that's different? What can I do? And so it said, write your book. So I was like, done, I'm going to write my book. And then I said, but it's going to be very hard for me to do because right now in New York, I was spending a lot of my time helping other people that I met on the street, you know, bringing them groceries and doing things like that and volunteering and doing all of that. Yeah. And so I asked the universe, I said, I don't know how I'm going to do it. And they said, you're going to do it here. And I'm like, in Arkansas? Fuck no. No way. Racist Trump town bullshit. And it said, wait a minute. You have been the first of many things. You have done a lot of things that nobody has done before. You have gone to places that you've never been. You've helped, especially when it comes to bringing in people of color into shows in New York City, because a lot of them are so whitewashed. And it's been an honor to me and a big fight with venues and managers that say, you know, well, we want a skinny white girl that looks like a Playboy model with fake tits. That's what we want to see. And so I've always challenged the rules. Even when I was at Juilliard, I couldn't read music when I first got there, but I found a way to make it something that was my own. And the voices said to me, if anybody is going to be able to make a change, it's going to be you. And I'm magic, Andrew. I know I'm magic. And believe me, there are a million Trump signs out here. However, there is a bigger smattering of Biden-Harris than I ever thought imaginable.
Nice.
And I thought, there's a lot of people out here who want to change, who want to see different things. They just don't know it. And, you know, I always say, I'm like, you know, everybody, like, when I say New York, it's like the Pace Picante commercial. You know, they're like, New York City. And I'm like, we're not all super buff gay bankers who pay for abortions every 2 weeks. You know what I mean? It's like, we're not all super liberal Democrats. You know, we're different.
Sure.
And,
right, we had Giuliani for a bit, of course.
I mean, you know, and so as I started to think about it, the fear just went away. And I was like, because like I said, I'm not religious, but I've never heard a voice so loud in my life, Andrew. And I said, I don't know, how am I going to pay for anything? How am I going to do anything? And I knew I could still continue to do my Facebook live shows, because ever since March, I've been doing live shows every Wednesday and Saturday, like a 2-hour solo show, just me. And I book my sets, I have headdresses and all of that. And I knew that I could do that here if I had high-speed internet. And it turns out my block is the very first block to get fiber optics in Arkansas.
Great, yeah.
And so that was there. And I said, where am I going to live? And one of my sister's friends, who's a realtor, she said, well, I don't know, it might be too big for you. It's a 4-bedroom house. There's a huge backyard. There's a lounge area. There's a garage, but it's a little expensive. And I said, well, what is that? And she said, $700 a month. And I was like, what? I mean, even if I went out and busked on the street or fucking turned in aluminum cans, I could make that. And I have a mortgage and, you know, maintenance at home and all of that other stuff. But I knew that I would be able to come here on this journey without having it affect my life financially at home. It wasn't going to be an extra burden on my husband and I, you know, financially. No first, no last, no security, no credit check. And I've been here 1 week and I said, would you like me to give you some money? And she goes, honey, I'm not worried about it. When I see you, I'll see you. And the guy that I had in today, I said, well, you know, when I moved here, I said, well, where are the keys? And she was like, keys to what? And I said, to the front door. She was, honey, I've never had keys to the front door. If you would like keys, I'm going to have to get a new door. And I'm like, you need to get a new door.
Yeah.
Because I've met my neighbors and stuff like that. I'm still a woman by myself in a big ass house with purple hair. And so as I asked the voice, I said, go ahead.
Wait, along those lines, because you said voices from the beginning, you're saying the voices, and I'm thinking, is this a person? Are you reaching out to fictitious gods? What is it? And why did it say Arkansas? I thought this had something to do with maybe your husband or some connection. Something just came in and said Arkansas.
The reason why I was actually in Missouri, as they call it, because that's where my sister has these lake houses. And I was really struggling to find somebody to talk to that I didn't know, that didn't know me. And I've never been a big prayer person because God has always severely disappointed me. And whenever, as a younger person who tried to reach for Jesus, I was like, fuck that. God doesn't love all of his little children. If he did, he'd get me the fuck out of this Indian reservation. You know what I mean? And help me do these things. So I asked those women, I said, who can I talk to? I don't want to pray to God. I don't want to pray to Jesus, Shiva, Mahatma. And so I looked to women who I knew had these kinds of experiences, who faced major, adversity in their careers. And because, carpenters, janitors, ushers, ticket takers, everybody in theater is out of work. And I have never, ever not performed. And it took me 1 week to get online to do shows. And people were like, how can you do something right now? It's such a terrible time. And I have, people would say, I have no motivation to do anything. And I'd say, well, that's fine for you.
Yeah.
But why are you upset at me? Because I simply cannot live without making art. I just can't. I actually cannot.
Right. So, I'm with you. I share that thing with you. When COVID came along, I was like, this project I'd waited 6 years to do, scan my life in film. I went, that's it. Now's the time. Get in fast. Been doing that 15 hours a day for 8 months. But yeah.
And when have you ever been afforded that time?
Never.
And so I just asked the universe, and they said, write your book. And I said, well, how will I make money? And I realized, well, I can still do my shows. And I said, is there anything more? And they said, you're going to open your own jazz club out here. And I was like, what in the hell? And then I started thinking, and I've already started a survey, because they'll give you free surveys out here to find out, because they want people to come in, whether or not your business will do well. Well, Branson is Spangled Bowtie Jesus shows. And Fayetteville, Bentonville is a college town and the Walmart headquarters. So that's like all artisanal home brews and pizzas with arugula, and there are also bicycle shops. Like, is there nothing out here where you can just go and hear some music that isn't country? Is there any place that you can go for dinner on your 10-year anniversary where you need to change from what you just wore to Walmart to pick up diapers and a shotgun? And I asked around, and there was a huge thing for it. And I thought, I could never buy a theater in New York. And everybody said, well, why don't you buy a theater now? I said, you got $10 million? And I know very successful producers, directors who that's been their whole entire dream, is to own a theater in New York. But Andrew, you know this as well as any other New Yorkers who are in the arts. Everything is, it has slowly, like CBGBs, I mean, thank God when Barbados came along, it gave some work to some good friends of ours, but it's not the same. St. Mark's is the same. Everything is commercialized. Times Square is Disney. And I love New York, but I don't like being in these shows where the richest people with the tickets at the front are like scrolling their phones and they're like, yeah, I've seen everything. And then I read this thing that in an interview with Billy Joel, And he said, what is the biggest difference now that you see in your fans? And he said, well, because the way that ticket prices have gone and agencies have that, all of the front row seats are all the people with the most money, and they could give a shit about being there. They're just taking selfies and they're going to the bathroom. So he said about 5 years ago, he started this thing where he buys the first 4 rows of his shows.
No way. Wow.
He goes to the nosebleed section and brings those people to the front row, because he said, those are my real hardcore fans. They're not trying to impress a date to get a fucking blowjob. You know, they're not there to take their boss out or do whatever. And you know this as a filmmaker, as just a garden of art. There's a lot of New Yorkers who they're like, oh God, I've seen everything. You know, it's like the Daffy Duck and Bugs Bunny. You know, girls, you'd better hold on to your boyfriends. I can only do this trick once. And then he swallows the match and explodes himself. And like everybody's going crazy, but he's going up to heaven. And I thought, you know, there's that saying, if you can make it if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. And I'm like, no. Anybody can come from anywhere in the world to New York, find a job, find somebody who they knew from primary school in their home in fucking India, and they'll know somebody. And I said, being able to come out here and serve art and struggle and do all of those things, I've had it very easy in the fact that I have been very well received in any project that I've tried to do, whether it was art, theater, comedy, dance, drama, whatever. And I was like, what a strange challenge that would be, because it is people who would be coming truly want to be there. And I asked around, and a lot of the younger people, you know, they immediately want to move out because there's no sophistication here. There's no such thing as a dress code. There's nothing like that. And so I decided I'm going to be looking for buildings and things like that to open Shelly's Manhattan Club. So there'll be a dress code, no children, 21 and over. You know, classic jazz from basically the 1920s to the early 60s. I'm not going to do any cover bands. You're not going to fucking hear me sing REO Speedwagon. If I do,
high infidelity.
Like, why don't you turn me up? Turn me up. You know, I would do something like that.
I like that. I wanted to hear more. Keep going.
Well, you know, you and I, Andrew, could just riff improv forever. By the way, great job on that rap.
On that rap?
On your opening song.
Oh, the song? Well, it's not mine. It's my friend's Booga Sugar. My friend Brian Repka, who's in the neighborhood. Big time rock and roll guy. I didn't. What that? That's not my music.
No, but did you sing it?
No. Oh, it sounded like me. New York. What? Oh, well, thank you very much. I can sing, you know, my sonata, but
oh, I know that. And you know, when I came out here to ask around, even the folks at like Home Depot and Walmart, when I told them what my long-term thing was, they were like, well, I think that's just great. I think that sounds nice. That sounds, I would love to put on a nice dress and you know, get all fancied up and go on out. And I have been met with equal honesty, not aggression, but honesty that say, you know, well, you know, they're just a bunch of good old boys out here and they're not going to want that underground colored people music. But if anybody's going to bring in the queers and the people of color, it's this girl.
Yeah.
And when I told my husband, he was like, I think you should do it. Because I don't really think he thought I was serious. From the day I got home, I left in less than 3 weeks.
Wow.
Because I said, if you don't move it by now, I said, if I don't move now, if I don't do this, I'm going to get fear. I'm going to worry. I'm going to, and I left, I didn't leave my husband and my dog, but it was something that I had to do for myself. And then as it got closer and closer, and he heard me saying, well, I'm getting a car, I'm getting a house. By the way, I got a 2003 Grand Marquis.
Ooh.
Ethel Merman.
Seriously?
Her name is Ethel.
Ethel Merman? Okay. Can you do any Ethel Merman? Surely.
Well,
give me some Ethel Merman.
Ethel Mermaid, because it's all silver.
Oh, mermaid. Okay.
My nephew, who's a ranch hand, is gonna weld a shark fin on top of the marquee. And I got a personalized license plate that says CRE, the number 8, and then ART. I know you love a puzzle. What does that
Create
say?
art, baby. Create art. Yeah, I was following you that whole time.
And I also realized that there's a Coney Island in Missouri, a town called Coney Island.
Okay.
Now, worldwide is pretty much the 15-mile-an-hour speed bump that when you first get to town. But I thought, I'm going to start my own mermaid parade here.
Oh, wow.
And I'm going to start by welding a shark fin onto my Grand Marquis. And my sister was like, do you really want to draw that much attention to yourself? And I said, have you met me?
She has. Wait, can I time out? I just want to give up to the people out there because I filmed the Mermaid Parade almost more than any other event in New York. It's basically the first Saturday and the first day of summer at Coney Island, where people dress up as mermen. They have a long parade. They play music. They put on crazy costumes, fish from the ocean. They get judged, and then they end up all going into the ocean, or they cut through fall, winter, spring, and summer, and then it all comes out, and then everything gets wet and messy. And it was such a great event for me because I'd ask, like, what's your favorite name for a hurricane? What part of you makes the tastiest sushi? Who's your best friend in the ocean? So yeah, and I met so many people that I ended up photographing or interviewing for my show because the Mermaid Parade was great. Okay.
It's incredible, and it's a huge, and something else that you might want to mention to all of your adoring fans out there. We've had some pretty famous judges.
Yeah.
One year it was Laurie Anderson and Lou Reed. We had David Byrne one year.
Yes, I remember that.
You might want to know that I am runner-up for Miss Coney Island. Thank you very much.
Get out. That's a big honor. Yeah, I could see that.
I'm a little coffee because there's still, as you can see, lots of paint in here. And
I'll take a sip. That's fine.
Because the people who lived here before
it's a good time for
6 dogs.
I'm sorry, wait, repeat that. What about the 6 dogs?
They had 6 dogs that lived in this house.
Ooh.
And they never let them outside.
Oh no. Okay.
And I moved to this house never having seen it.
Yeah, but feeling it.
Well, also feeling that $700 for a 4-bedroom house. And Andrew, you'll be super proud of me. I did my first super hillbilly Arkansas action today. Would you like to know what that was?
Of course I would.
I burned my trash.
A metaphor or really?
No, literally people burn their trash out here.
Oof. Right. With climate change.
I didn't burn any plastics. I recycled all my plastics. It was my cardboard because they wouldn't take it unless it was inside the recycling bin. Well, I had so many boxes, and I put all of the the boxes that I could fit in the bin. And then I tied, like we do in New York, you tie up all your boxes with twine and you put it downstairs. Well, we have super bougie trash men because if they can't get it with their truck and just dump it in with the container, they won't pick it up. And so I told my neighbor next door, I said, they wouldn't pick that up. He goes, well, girl, why don't you just burn it? I said, well, where do I burn it? He's like, in the burn pit in your backyard. But I have a burn pit? And he goes, wherever there's a circle with no grass growing, that's your burn pit. And I said, it's not illegal? And he said, you can burn anything except for plastic and your leaves, because I guess the plastic's obviously toxic, but the leaves, because they're so light and they can travel with the embers. So I was out there in my beautiful satin peacock robe, my fancy slippers, burning my fucking trash. And all my friends were, why didn't you take a video? Why didn't you whatever?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Well, I will the next time, but I'm as outgoing as I am. This trip is about me and my experience. I've never, ever been selfish with myself. I've shared myself with everything. And I said, I wanna experiencing these things myself as Shelly first before I share it with all my adoring fans. You know, because it's because it's more real to me that way. Because I enjoy social media. I enjoy watching people, what they do. But for me, sometimes I see a sadness in it that people don't feel like they've experienced something unless they're sharing it at the moment with a random stranger on the internet.
Yeah. I have a little of that. I feel sort of compelled. It's just media is there, photo, film, video. Oh, this is amazing. Yes, I should be filming this. Not always, but I can understand that. And if you're in the pressure of this social media world, it's like, oh, I better film. But yes, I agree.
And it is, you know, and I've had a lot of people ask me to do, you know, a lot of things that they would like me to do, especially singing. Like people have asked me since Chicago came out, you know, to do When You're Good to Mama, Mama's Good to You, or Poor Unfortunate Souls, Ursula. And I say, it's so obvious that those would be good for me that I don't want to do them. Does that make sense, Andrew?
Sure.
You know?
Yes.
And as an artist, I think a lot of times that we forget before we're the playwright, the producer, the director, the actor, the singer, the dancer, the sword swallower, that we are unto ourselves first. And it's the same thing in relationships. Before we're a brother or a husband or a son, we have our own feelings, but because we care for other people and because we want to share with other people, sometimes it's hard to just have that experience. Like I keep saying, unto yourself. And when I do this, because it feels like I'm hugging myself, you know, that that the person I'm sharing with is me. And it's actually my eyes in that moment seeing it, not my eyes is like, how's that angle? Do I look fat there? How is this? You know, let me get this light. Let me do this. And I woke up like this. Bitch, if I took a picture when I woke up like this, people would be like, ah, you know, even though it's the reality. You know?
I feel I've got a similarity. I feel what you're saying. I don't know. I've always been single, so I'm like my own best friend. There's sort of two brains. Yeah, you're talking to me. I'll go around my apartment. I'll be like, you feeling pretty good today? Yeah, Grateful Dead after I hit a pot and coffee. Look at how clean you made that. I know, thank you. I mean, internally, but there's a lot of dialogue. Like when I moved in here after a 7-year stint, I would look around and go, oh, I'm so lucky. I'd be like acting as if someone is there. They're going, is this yours? I go, yeah. Well, how long did it take? Oh, 7 years. No, yeah. No, it's taking, well, who? A guy? You were? Yeah, I was. Sometimes that's actually out loud, but sure. Yeah, you got to love yourself first.
Yeah. And that, you know, it's interesting because I think a lot of people have these perceptions of like really outgoing, you know, people that we're just all narcissists and want everybody to tell us how fabulous we are all the time. But the worst thing about me as a performer is self-promotion. And we had a little texty text about that earlier. because I feel very uncomfortable in telling people how great I am. I don't enjoy that at all. And I know tons of people with mediocre talent who are just constantly on social media talking about how great they are and all of these great things that they've done. And I feel like if you constantly have to espouse those types of things, that you cannot do your art without the approval of somebody else. And as much as I enjoy people saying, I like what you did, I have never, ever, ever done a show where in my mind, I'm like, what are they going to like? What's going to really do it for them? You know, because that's not my place. My place is exactly what you said, Andrew, and that's being honest with yourself and what you want to do. And we see it all the time with artists that say, well, they want me to do this, so I'm going to do that. And then what happens? They get fucking stuck in that.
Right. I know exactly what you're saying. I feel often caught. Part of me is I do want to please other people and I want a little positive feedback. So ideally, I do whatever I want and follow my gut feeling, and you like it at the same time. But of course, there's always people, there's certain people out there saying, do more impressions, do more weird stuff, dress up. You know, if the time comes, but if it's forced, it doesn't feel right.
Yeah. And
when you were talking,
go ahead.
It sounded like our president when you were talking about, you know, talking how great you are and tweeting about it and all the things you've done, even though. But I want to segue into something because I want to see if I can. I asked people what's going on in politics this week, so it's a quick minute and a half, and there might be some good.
I wish I had some Lipton tea like Kermit right now.
You can, improv. Okay.
Any predictions of what might happen in politics this week?
How do you even predict what happens in the next 5 hours?
I mean, how do you what happen next in this soulless carnival of doom?
Yeah.
Trump is going to pretend to be a hero for finding the cure for COVID or something.
I mean,
I got to pause, Andrew. It's pause.
Cure to COVID. Other than that,
this week we have a Trump joke.
I don't know, but Trump is a surprise every day.
The way he win the coronavirus, it was so funny. He recommend 2 different medicine to people.
And you're going to be all like the whole, I'm strong as an ox.
I'm sure Trump will find someone to blame for every problem he's found along the way, like he's always been doing.
I would say Trump's going to say something really crazy to mask something terrible that's happening that he's
that's been the whole trend of something bad.
Same shit.
Oh,
I'm terrified.
Oh,
I'm terrified.
I don't have any political predictions.
Mike Pence gets COVID. He got COVID.
I'm just crossing my fingers. I'm not going to say anything else.
The only thing that we can expect is the unexpected, that Trump's going to continue to melt down. And we'll be lucky to survive.
We're going to survive. 52 years old, I survived it all. There's not one obstacle that I've encountered in my life that I haven't overcome.
That's it. We're in, we're out. It was a nice sample of New Yorkers, right? You know, black, white, young, old, gay, straight. It was really, if we get to the next video, I say at the end, I mean, it looks like I'm just dancing from person to person. Some I spent 20 minutes or a half hour. That woman who said something bad, we just hit it off and kept going and going. And every time I was going to leave, we continued. And I ended up saying, you know, that's what it's all about. I mean, those connections with strangers. And she said, it was such a pleasure at the end. She was such a classy New Yorker. Such a pleasure. I said, the pleasure is mine. We're going out next Tuesday. No, I'm kidding. We're not going out next Tuesday.
She's not your type, Andrew. We've already talked about that. And, you know, it's interesting because, you know, just watching that, you know, it makes me a little
teary-eyed.
You know, and I'm not a cry person, you know, and the sad thing is that it's also true. And that, and like coming out here in the conversations that I've had with people who've been willing to talk to me, there isn't a single person that is able to, like the guy across the street that just moved out. I went over and he went to shake my hand and I said, "Oh, no, thank you." And he goes, "What, you're afraid of the Rona?" He goes, "This is the biggest hoax that America's ever seen." And so I pulled out my phone and I just showed these people the videos and the pictures of what's going on. And he was like, "Even if I get it, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't die. Don got it." And I said, "He's a gazillionaire and he's the president, so he's going to get the first thing." And then this man said to me, I'm a veteran. And I said to him, as a veteran, how are you okay with the fact that he, even though I don't agree on a lot of John McCain's policies,
sure,
I can't agree, that he served his country well. And, 8 years in a POW camp, and he said, "That guy's a pussy. He sold out." I said, historically.
Wait, that's what that guy said that about McCain, the one you were talking to?
Yes.
Holy shit. Come on.
And I lost my mind. I said, "Sir," as we all say, with all due respect, I said, he was there over a year and a half being tortured every day, and he gave a false confession. And they offered him a chance to leave. And he chose to stay with his soldiers. And I said, Trump, who avoided the war and asks, what's in it for them? I said, as a veteran, how are you okay with that? And he said, it doesn't bother me. And I said, what's the number one thing that you find good as Trump as a president? And almost every answer is he takes no shit. And what I've realized is that the people that are saying he takes no shit are the bullies that we knew in junior high. Are the people that are like, well, you're a fucking pussy, and you beat their ass. Now, we know as adults that usually those bullies are the ones who are being abused at home. They're the ones who have a lot of issues, so they turn to aggression and they do all these things. And if you look sociologically and psychologically, emotionally, the way Donald Trump grew up, it makes perfect sense the way he is, because he is never going to be happy. He is never going to feel, he's never going to be able to love somebody back. He's going to be able to take it all in, but not trust any of it. And what I've come to realize is that the people that I've spoken out to, they're uneducated, not in the fact so much of not being learned, because you can be very intellectually gifted if you read, and you just find that on your own. But the majority of the people that I've talked to, they go merely on hearsay. And then the secondary thing, because Obama was black. And because Obama was black, all those GOP old white people are saying, well, we've got to turn it back. We've got to, America great again. And that's always been the same thing. We're nowhere near the highest in education. We are nowhere near, Americans are dying more than any other country in the world. And we're supposedly the highest thing, and they say, oh, those rich people. And I say, sir, did you get it? Did you get any money back? Did you get a tax break when Trump made that? Well, no, but these business people are giving out. I said, what are they giving out? How is it positively affected you? And not a single one of them could say anything. And I found it very joyful that I could see them at least entertaining what I had to say. Because I'm not, you know, I don't have, you know, I'm not Cuomo. I don't walk around with them and tell you, listen, we're going to do what, you know, and everybody thinks that New Yorkers are like that. And I think the fact that I am learned as much as I've wanted to be about foreign policy, about what laws actually are, about, you know, ethics. And I've always said, what is, you know, they're like, Trump's making this country rich. And I was like, they're actually not. I said, he's against factory workers. Him and all of his children all have businesses in China. And they say, because it's too expensive. And I say, but why is that? It isn't too expensive. Just the rich people want to make more money so they can send it off like Nike to Indonesia and make even more money. And I said, what do you have an issue with somebody capping at $99 billion? Because my thing is, I've said, you know, everybody's always like, it's socialism. Everybody wants to make the same amount of money. And I said, that is never going to happen in the United States. Communism will never happen in the United States because we're all about capitalism.
Sure.
But capitalism isn't always helpful. And I said, imagine if Jeff Bezos said, you know what, America? Thank you for making me the richest man in the world. Thank you for buying into Amazon. Thank you for getting 4 packages a day at your house and creating all this extra recycling bullshit we have to deal with. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to buy school supplies for every single school in the United States so teachers will no longer have to use their budgets to buy school supplies.
Yeah.
And not a single person was able to say to me, that's a terrible idea. Because even, you know, there was, what was that? You probably remember, but what's that joke about Bill Gates that if he dropped $1, it cost him more money to bend down and pick it up because he made like $60 million, like just leaning over in those. But you know what I mean? It's that kind of thing. I said, the money is not going away.
Yeah.
The money isn't going away. And then I talk about healthcare, you know, with these people. And they say, well, socialized medicine is socialism and you ain't going to get shit either. Have you ever met a Canadian? And I'm like, well, as a matter of fact, times.
Right.
And numerous people from the States are moving merely because of severe illnesses. I know 2 people, myself personally, who got divorced.
Yeah.
So their partner could get Medicare and be able to pay for it instead of going absolutely bankrupt. And I said, rich people will always have privatization options. Fucking Beyonce can clear out an entire floor to have Blue Ivy. That is always going to happen. People with money will always be able to get the very best because they can afford it. I said, but the average American who's working a minimum wage job, you know, all the songs that fucking Bruce Springsteen and Bill, you know, working here in Allentown, like all of those jobs, you know, a lot of people want to glamorize hardworking Americans, but they don't want to give them the proper health care. The coal companies say, we need that coal. You get back in there. You know what? Lifetime supply of Marlboros in a Ford truck. Where are you going to come to? Your pulmonologist? And so I think it becomes, I'm so glad that you asked that question of people on the street, is because it's very important to even on the day-to-day see what changes are. And for me, you know, people say, well, what do you vote on? And I say, I vote on integrity and humanity. I would much rather have a president who's called a pussy because he believes in women's rights. And
and the environment, like Jimmy Carter and stuff like that.
Oh my God, you know, and to talk about that, you know, when people say, you know, like my family that only votes on whoever is pro-life.
Right.
And I say, Well, you know that Trump has only been pro-life since he's been president. I said there are.
I thought it was a little before that, but yeah, it hasn't been that long.
I mean, like before he started going on, and dude, you know he's fucking paid for at least 3 abortions.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Not to mention 3 wives, a bunch of divorces, the grabbing women's pussies and having affairs. It's hard. I've got friends going, how can the Christian right, the evangelicals, be so in love with him when he's so immoral? And they have those standards. So yeah, it's a bit of a hypocrisy.
Because a lot of those Christian families are also radically sexist. I don't know if you saw the guy on the Daily Show who went around to the Trump rallies and he asked, women why,
so good.
Well, a woman can't be president. She could have a hot flash at any moment and start a war. And the guy's like, well, hasn't every single war been started by
a man? Yeah.
I mean,
that guy's brilliant. Yeah.
The fact that they just say, or when, did you read the Mueller report? Well, the Mueller report, did you read it? Well, no, I didn't. And then asking them straight out, even if you knew everything was true, would you still vote for him? And they say, I don't care. And so the same rich people out here, because it's old money, it's fucking hillbilly money. It's like $100,000 buried in mason jars. Out here. They don't do the banks, they do all of that. And I say, and you're okay with that because you're working this. And they say, well, I don't want to pay taxes. And I say, but every American pays taxes. And when we have a president who says, I, as a president, have found loopholes, let me teach you, the American people, how to do that. That's like hiring a bank robber to be a bank teller. And for me, I can't wrap my head around the logic. And that's what my husband said. He was like, well, there's the problem. You're trying to make sense of it all. He's like, and it doesn't make any sense. And it really feels like we shot back to 1952.
When you're doing all this, I'm thinking to myself, if I was there, a little bit of the economics or the human causes, but it would be religion, because that's one of my biggies, because I've kind of been an atheist since I was 3, I love to talk to people, but in a gentle, calm way. I just bring up things that are, I'm not going to go into it, but I'm not mean, I'm nasty. I just generally, and it's the same thing with you. You want to propose something. Well, if there is a God, is it controlling the planet system 4 billion light years away? If there's a little amoeba, do they pray to it? Do dogs go to heaven? Well, what happens here and there? And you see them like, well, it's like a Star Trek episode. Warning. Well, that's not Star Trek, but it's like their heads explode. No, God is only here on Earth, and it's only for people. And then, just making it convenient. But
what's the singular?
And no offense to any religious people out there.
No. And honestly, I'm an atheist too, but I have been incredibly envious of people who have religion. Dennis Miller did a skit. I know I'm quoting a lot of comedians, but he said,
fine.
One time I was on a flight going from New York to like Cincinnati. He's like, there was all these kids who were going to Bible camp. He's like, and we all get on the plane and they're being very nice. He's like, and then major turbulence starts. He's like, and like, fuck, man, I'm gonna die. And he's like, and all of them are like, going to meet my maker, gonna go see Jesus, And he's like, if only I could be that happy thinking about dying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What I have found too, sociologically, historically, is that those who, in my perception, have been the most religious throughout history are those that have been the most oppressed. And when I look at, when you look at slavery, and the biggest argument out here is, well, who sold the slaves to the white people? I'm like, fucking white people. And they're like, black people. And I say, just like a man who will sell his daughter for crack. Yeah. There are individuals who are awful everywhere. The same way, that's why what they would call, like house black people, who, because they had the better job, and they would, rat out the people who were beneath them because they thought that they were better because they lived in the big house. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's still
Yeah.
oppression. And when I found, looking through, that the majority of Caribbean and African people, they didn't know Jesus. They didn't know about any of that. And so they were saved when they got here. And to me, it makes sense to say, dear Lord Jesus, thank you for everything, because I will be free in the promised land. What else is there? Without that inkling of hope in thinking that, you know what, in my next life, I will not be raped and forced to watch my kids be sold off. Thank you, Jesus. But it's never, Jesus, why am I raped, and why did you have me sell my children off?
Right.
And to me, it's a sort of like, naivete isn't the right word. It's just what a lot of people do who are abused. They just black it out. They just say it isn't happening, because so many atrocities with people of color, with Jewish people, and I find it makes sense to me logically that they would want religion because it gives them an alternate to what is the reality.
Okay.
And also, there's a reason why the phrase blind faith exists.
Sure.
It doesn't need definition. Like, one of my favorite t-shirts, I'm sure you've seen it. It's Jesus with a lasso riding a dinosaur.
I have not. Keep going.
So good. And I talked to my sister, who says, well, we don't really know when the dinosaurs were around. We don't really know that for a fact. And I'm like, we kind of do. Well, you don't know if God made the dinosaurs and then decided it was all time to leave. And my sister's a Mormon. I don't know if you know much about Mormonism, but they all believe that they're going to rule their own celestial planets with their families. It's very L. Ron Hubbard-y.
Yeah.
And what they'll do is they posthumously baptize members in their family, because the Mormon LDS, Latter-day Saints, say you will not go to heaven if every single person in your family is not a Mormon. Now, I hadn't talked to my sister in 2 years because my grandma died, and it was her dying wish to have her ashes mixed with my grandfather's and taken out to this place called Tule Lake, where they used to go hunting and fishing. And she said, I want my ashes spread out on Tule Lake. And I had made plans with my mom to fly from New York, meet my mom in Oregon, and then we would drive down, because it's right on the border of California and Oregon. And I had already bought my ticket and everything, and I get a call from my mom, and she says, well, your sister's here, and she told me it's probably a good idea that we should just dump Grandma's ashes where her and Granddad used to go to have dinner. And I was like, excuse me, what? And I realized it was because my sister wanted them so she could do her Mormon baptism thing on my grandma.
Yeah.
And I called my sister, and I was smack dab in the middle of a show. I was doing 8 shows a week. And my sister said to me, well, it's not like you're going to drop out of your show to come here. And I'm like, that's the difference between you and I. My integrity is real. It's not for Jesus. It's not for I dropped out of my show. I flew there. I broke into my mom's house. I stole my grandma's ashes and my granddad's ashes. And I drove all the way there nonstop through a snowstorm. I almost got arrested because now it's a national reserve. But fortunately, I got all the ashes out before they showed up. And I didn't talk to my sister because I said, of all people that I know as strongly based in your religion as you are, to not grant somebody their dying wish, because you're selfish and you don't think you'll go to heaven without grandma, who did not believe in any of that. In none of it. And I didn't talk to her for 2 years. And when I reached out to her, Andrew, it was one of the hardest things I'd ever done, because I was calling her for help. You know what I mean? And I was surprised. That's not even a word. I was shocked, because I didn't have any money to travel. I didn't have any money to rent a hotel or a nice, cabin somewhere. I didn't have any of those rich people things. But I knew my sister had some rental properties. Whether or not they were free, I had no idea. But I said, listen, I know we haven't talked in 2 years, but I am in a really wild place in my life right now, and I need to get away to somewhere where I can be totally alone. Without hesitation, she offered me this place, and she said, I'll fill the house with groceries. She said, there'll be a car rented for you at the airport. She's like, there'll be a gas card in the glove box. She said, you've got groceries for 2 weeks. I don't know how long you're planning on staying. She goes, you won't have to go anywhere. She, put like spa stuff in the bathroom and did all these things. And, and I was feeling a sense of guilt. And I said, well, maybe I'll come over for dinner on Sunday night. And she goes, no. She said, this trip isn't about us. This trip is about you. And I was just like, thank you so much. And then I called her back and I said, and when I said it, I heard a voice, and she's like, because she was hoping that it was Jesus, she's like, kind. And I was like, it wasn't our Lord and Savior. It was a bunch of people you probably wouldn't approved of, but they told me to come here. And she was like, are you serious? Are you really going to come here? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, I don't think trying to talk me out of it, but she just couldn't believe in herself. And I said, listen, I was shocked too. And I said, but I'm going to need your help, because I don't know anybody out here. And I said, however, we've never talked about what happened with grandma. We never talked about it.
Yeah.
And she said very flatly, no prissiness, no nothing. She just said, I should have never done that. I was caught up in my own thing. And she said, I'm sorry. My sister's never said sorry to me.
Wow. Happy to hear that.
I mean, I was terrified that it wasn't real, that I would come out here and nobody even knows. Nobody in New York has ever met my family. Nobody even knows I have a fucking family. Now she got missionaries, more missionaries in New York City to come and pack my truck for me. She got missionaries here in Arkansas to unload my truck, because one thing I will give the Mormons, they are some community loving motherfuckers. Like they want to help old ladies. I'm like, oh, that can't be real, but that shit is real. And I said, why would they want to help me, a liberal, tattooed, atheist, bisexual fucking weirdo? And she said, well, Mormons are going crazy right now, especially the young people, because they're usually off on their missions. Now, normally they go out to proselytize or proselytize. I just think prostate. That's all I think about. But preach.
Yep.
And I said, but they're looking for ways to help. And so they want to.
Yeah.
And it was just like, wow. And, I said, am I going to have to talk about Jesus or anything? And they said, no, they're not going to ask for anything. But Amber, the weirdest thing, because when they were all, these big old dudes, because Mormons are some healthy people. They are some healthy, fit,
Yeah. Didn't know.
I asked them, I said, would you give me a blessing? And they always ask, they're like, let me pass a blessing to you. And I took the blessing and I received it, and they blessed the truck and they blessed me. And although I don't believe in their God or their system, I'm never going to pass up somebody giving me a blessing, whether I believe it or not.
Yeah. Oh, I've been there. I'll take the blessing, of course. Why not?
It was fucking awesome. But of course, when I came here, I have to draw bathing suits on all my tattoos because of the boobs.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
You're going to change your tattoo? Really?
Because of the
A little bit. But, all right. It seems contradictory to everything we've talked about for the last hour and 10 minutes because you're so, free and individual and not letting other people dictate. Okay. But,
I figured, have you ever tried to help somebody move in New York City, Andrew?
Of course I have. I've helped everybody do everything from now to the beginning of time. But yes, I have. And
as a person who's moved, how difficult it is, especially when you live in a 6-story walk-up.
Yes, I do. Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, babe, I can't buy him pizza. I can't tip him. I can't do anything. But if all it takes is for me to put a triangle bikini top on her to get all of my shit unloaded, I'm fine.
Yeah. Oh, so you were concerned about the people helping you load and unload. That's what you did it for.
No, my sister, whenever I would visit my sister and her kids, I had to put suit tops on my tattoos. Because
could you just wear a long sleeve shirt or something?
I could, but it was fucking hot as balls. Hot as the best balls in a wool jock strap, Andrew. And I'm going, hey, it's hot. I'm sweating right now. But, I thought, that's a tiny thing I can do. But I told my sister, I said, if your kids come to my house, that shit ain't happening. If I go if you ask me to come into your home and you have your grandkids, that to me is a little different. And it was funny because my 2 friends that came with me are gay and people of color. And she works at Lucky 13, and their slogan is serving evil since 2003, Instagram and everything. And I was like, God, I hate to censor you. But do you mind not wearing your pentagram face mask while we do this? Now, in my own home, in my own thing, I am not, there's naked ladies all in my bathroom. I'll be surprised if my sister will ever set foot in my house. I know. Mine are drawings, though, Andrew. I don't have beautiful Brazilian, Filipino naked ladies on my bed with pubic hair. I know you like that, too.
I could take it or leave it.
Well, I'm not, full on 70s porn bush, but it didn't bother me because I was like, that's a small thing I could do. If you're having a dinner party and somebody says that they're vegan, you're not, I wouldn't say, well, fuck you, bring your own food. I'm going to try to do something so that they feel a little comfortable as long as it doesn't change everything about me. I'm not gonna, in my own home, it's the same. This is and when they came in my house, believe me, they were looking around and I'm like, keep your eyes on the prize. Just move it along. You don't need to be looking at all my porn. You don't need to be looking at all that. Yes, that is a picture of a vagina. Yes, that is a picture of me sitting on somebody's face. But that's not, that's not the thing I'm all about.
I've been in situations like this, even with Orthodox. And I think in that environment, it's like, okay, my parents or my bosses or the preacher or whatever are here. They'll be like, oh no, that's fine. We do that. I've been in that situation where you think, really? And they're like, yeah, we don't care. Or not, we don't care, but it's okay. So I bet they would have been like, no big whoop. We've seen it before, I assume. Can I say something? When you were talking earlier, I want to bring it back because as you're talking, I was thinking of, there was a movie with Michael J. Fox. He's a doctor and he's on his way from New York to Miami or LA. And then his car has an accident. He ends up in a tiny little Midwestern town. And it takes 2 weeks, of course, for them to repair the car. And then he gets used to the small town life. And he falls in love with the cutest girl in town. And of course, he starts caring for people and they love the doc. And, it's like, well, a big city guy can kind of find the groove down there in some small little town. Heartwarming story. No, Michael J. Fox, it wasn't a huge one.
But it just basically sounds like every Hallmark movie.
Yeah. pretty much.
Ever. And by no means do I think that, I'm never going to say there are good people on both sides, because if you're fucking racist, and you know what? You want to know something else, Andrew? The town we're living in?
Yeah.
Birthplace of the KKK.
So you said, right. But it's changing in a new town council and they're voting that shit out.
And you know what? Without people who are willing to make the risk to be the first through the door and take the hits, it's not going to fucking change.
Yeah.
If you keep the same people with the same people all the time, all you're going to get is inbred. And I mean that with thoughts. I mean that.
Right. Of course. Sure.
When I say progressive, I mean, like moving parts and the internet and telephones that don't plug into the wall. Without the influence, and I've already had 3 or 4 different, because the schools are open, but they're all doing masks. They're all following the protocol. But I've had 3 different people from 3 different schools call me and say, would you please come and talk to our kids who are in band and art and theater. They've never, ever met anybody. I'm the first person in my family to graduate high school, Andrew. Both my parents have been in and out of prison my whole life.
Wow. Is it fair to say you're the black sheep or the white sheep? What kind of sheep are you? Because this...
No, I guess I'm the black sheep in the fact that I am different, but that I also support people of color versus like the historicalness of my family. Like my dad had a black cat named Gar, G-A-R. And he couldn't bring himself to name it the full name, but he thought he could get by with that. And my family used to always say the N-word as a cuss word instead of fuck, thinking that it was better. And it was 1989, and we were having Thanksgiving. And my nephew knocked something over on the table, and he said the N-word. And I fucking lost my mind. I was like, that's it, I'm done. I'm done. I've heard 20 years of our grandparents talk like that. These are your kids. This is not right. And my sister said, it's no big deal. It doesn't mean anything. And my mom said, why are you always trying to cause problems? I'm like, why don't you shut up, you fucking dyke? And she goes, and I was like, how's the deal? It's just doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. Good one.
You guys don't think about this because you don't see people of color. Because well, I don't see color. I'm not. I was like, you should. Everybody who says they don't see color is fucking racist. I'm sorry. I hate to say that. Because if you're not able to acknowledge differences and you're not able to talk about or listen to what other people have instead of trying to offer your fucking whiteness, and my dad's Native American. I lived on an Indian reservation for 3 years. But I don't go around being like, this is my land, these are my people, because I didn't have the kind of oppression. I didn't see my family murdered. I don't, living on the reservation, I was one of 2 kids that went to public school. And I was a dirty Indian at public school. And I was a white girl on the reservation because,
right.
I present very white.
Wait, time out. Where is this? I just have to know because I'm thinking Nebraska. Where is the reservation? Where is it?
Carson City, Nevada.
Ah, okay. So you're not exactly not used to small town, not big city life. So the jump to Arkansas, if you grew up in Carson City, I mean, obviously it's different, but it's not.
I didn't grow up in Carson City. I went to 18 different schools before I graduated high school, Andrew. Not because my parents were in the military, but because they were in jail. And I lived mostly in California and Nevada. And my autobiography that I'm writing is, I don't know anybody else who's done that, but I'm doing a 3-part series.
Oh, okay.
Way too much information. And so it's trailer park to Central Park to rural park.
Wait, rural what? What was the last word?
Arkansas.
Rural. Oh, okay. Very nice.
I've lived in a car with my family. I've been homeless more than once. I've not eaten for 3 or 4 days. I've done all of these things, and yet I'm here. And
You're gonna have to spend some time in Arkansas, because if that third chapter, it can't be a month. That seems like it's got to be a year. What's the cutoff time wise?
Well, because what it is I'm doing essentially up to high school. And then I'm doing from high school until before I left for Juilliard, and then I'm doing Juilliard to where I am today.
I
But
see.
I'm gonna
Okay,
be
that makes sense.
releasing them one at a time. So I'll release the first, and I've already had. I mean, people have been asking me. Like, I was approached by some dude who came to my show that was a Simon and Schuster publisher, and he's like, "You need to write your book. You need to. Oh my God, if you need any help." And I've already got the editors, all these people who are just like, "Please." But every single person, Andrew, every single person has lived an absolutely fascinating and valuable life. It's the way that you share your life, because people say, "Well, I've never done anything. Nothing has ever happened to me." And you talk to them, and they once saw a ghost, you know what I mean? Or their grandpa. As it turns out, I have relatives from Arkansas. My great-great-grandfather on my mom's side was a preacher in Arkansas, and he got run out of town because he gave all the church ladies syphilis. And then they found him shot naked in a fucking bathtub.
Oh my. Stinking of bourbon and gin.
I had no idea. I'm sure, you know, I'm drinking Everclear, you know, but not in Arkansas, in California and Nevada, because wherever there is poverty,
there's stories.
You know, there's a reason why they have a thing called white trash. And there's a great book. God, I wish I could remember the guy who wrote it, but it's White Trash, the Economy of White Americans, you know, because I always like to read a lot of stuff, and I've read the Bible. I've, you know, read part of the Torah, part of the Quran, because I just want to know, you know, I want to know what's out there. And one of the things, you know, about Americans is that the old school Americans were very hardworking. You think that millennials could like go to discover gold in the Yukon? You think like a lot of these young people today could face the adversity that we did back then? No. And why? Because of the goddamn internet, Andrew. The goddamn internet. I love it, but it has removed reading people's facial expressions. It has removed the need to be actually honest instead of just writing what you think somebody says. I once had somebody who called me, and I answered my phone. She was, you know, not all millennials, not all boomers either. But she called, and I answered my phone, and I didn't know who it was, and I was like, "Hello," and she was like, "Hello," and I'm like, "Yes." She's like, "Is this Shelly?" And I'm like, "Yes, it is." And she's like, "Oh, I wasn't prepared to talk to you because nobody ever answers. Can I call you back and leave a message?" And I'm like, "What is this about?" She goes, "Well, I was inquiring about being in a show." And I was like, "No, you may not call back and leave me a message. If you're that flustered by calling me and talking on the phone, you can fuck right off."
Yeah.
And I crack up now because so many people, especially in burlesque, you know, when I host a lot of burlesque shows, they'll say, "No, I'm not going to talk to you on the phone. If you want me to produce a show, you want me to come down there and talk to you? I don't know who you are." And I'm like, if you had ever had to go on an actual audition, and if you had ever done anything, you would know. Even if somebody says, "Hey, don't worry about it," as a good business person, you want to go. You want to see what their voice sounds like, what the inflection is, what with all this typing shit, you can stop, you can edit it, you can stop and edit it, you can stop and rework it in and then send in this perfect masterpiece. But that isn't reality. And it's very hard to read people's temperaments. You know, like I don't want to go and work in a venue where some guy or some woman or some, you know, him, her, they, us, we, whichever pronoun that you know, specify as, which is a big one for me too, as a, you know, as a host, because I just started, I remember one time I did a they, I said, you know, our next performer, they performed everywhere and they were cis hetero. And afterwards they're like, you know, I really didn't enjoy that you called me a they. I'm shit. I was like, that's fucking grammar. So I wasn't talking about your gender. I was talking about the they as in a representation of an individual grammar wise. And I said, pretty soon I'm going to say, here's an entity doing a thing. I'm not saying that you can't respect what people, how people want to identify, absolutely. But there also has to be room on the other side for people to make mistakes and correct themselves so that they know. You know, I mean, it took us a while, and even still now, you know, there are so many history books when I look back at what I was taught about slavery, you know, and it was romanticized in my head. Well, you know, some slaves were happy. They had a nice house and they could whatever. And the guy that I was talking to today, he goes, I don't know what black people are all up in the arms about because they make more money here than any place else in any other country. And I said, sir, I will hop on board with you if you can tell me that right now you would be okay to change your race to a black person in America. What do you think happened? Then it became, well, no, because I said, because what? I said, we share the same skeletal structure. We have the same skin. Some of us pray, some of us don't. Some of us get married, some of us don't. If you believe that it is better than it was, why wouldn't you say, you know what, of course I would be a black man today, but even thinking about claiming it for themselves, it's fucking, So that's my 1-2. So when people say there's no systemic racism, I very calmly, like what you're saying, having the discussion, and I say, I am more than happy to agree with you if you can say you're fine to walk out your house as a black man or a black woman.
Right.
You know, and sneaking off to get another race, you know, to fuck somebody else, you know, and then come back. Bill Burr did a really great thing on Saturday Night Live. I don't know why I'm all up on the comics, but he had said, you know, white women, he's like, white men are just going crazy. He goes, they swung their Gucci boots over the fence and now they're like, you know, Black Lives Matter is all about me. I'm oppressed. And he said, you know, and he's married to a black woman, Bill Burr. And he said, you know, all you white women are saying that you hate black people, but then you run off and fuck a black dude, but then you say it wasn't consensual. Own up to it. If you want to sneak off and get that, you know, what is it? What is it on all the porn sites? BBC.
Big black cock? Wait, BBC, is that it?
That's what BBC is, big black cock.
Okay.
So whenever you're cruising the personals, if you ever see that. So, but usually what you'll see is BBW searching BBC, because it seems, you know, that a lot of white men, what's that old joke? Fat girls are like mopeds, they're fun to ride, but you don't want your friends to see you on one, you know?
Never heard of it, but that works.
You know, and for a lot of people, you know, it's that thing, you know, it's like everybody has this, you know, their ideal about what they find physically attractive, and that's totally okay. And if you, you know, like, do you remember when John Mayer did the Playboy interview and he said, you know, they asked him, they were like, so what kind of women do you like? And he goes, I like all women, but my dick is racist. It only likes
only likes what? What was the finish to that?
White girls.
Okay. All right.
He's like, I'm cool, but my dick is totally racist. And it was like,
that's great.
You know, unlike Mike Patton, who I fucking love from, you know, Faith No More, Mr. Bungle, he did an article in Rolling Stone and they said, okay, Mike, everybody knows that you're a chronic masturbator, that you absolutely love porn and you jerk off like 10 times a day. Now, you know, he's never tried to hide it. He's like, yeah, man, I like to jerk off. I like porn. And they were the guy who was asking, he's like, so now that you can fuck any chick you want, do you still jerk off? And he goes, well, yeah, now I just make them watch me.
Oh.
And I was like, be true to yourself, Mike. Get those clapping hands. Because he didn't change who he was. He was just like, yeah, now people will watch me.
Yeah.
You know. Well, we've talked about a lot of stuff tonight, Andrew. Porn.
I know. I was just gonna say we're a little long, a minute, hour 35. But I wanted to come back to your question because I want to play the last video, which is good, and then maybe you can answer whether you can survive in Arkansas. Because now I'm not so sure based on our dialogue. But don't answer that yet. Okay. So let me go to the back to my share screen and go to my Arkansas number 2.
Back to that screen there. Go ahead and put that screen up. Here we go.
Yeah, a friend of mine just moved to Arkansas. She's a tattooed, pink-haired singer. Do you think she'll survive in Arkansas? Could she make it?
I guess you can survive ever. There's always a pocket of a community of people that like yourself, no matter where you go, even in the worst parts of the country.
Is she gonna make it in Arkansas?
Oh yeah. Wait, maybe.
Well, Arkansas.
Oh, wait,
I feel like they're really Republican.
Did she like hunting and fishing?
No.
No.
I think we are the captain of the New York, and we don't need to leave the ship. So captain, leave the ship.
It's a man.
Nah, it's actually a woman. Yeah.
Honestly, I don't think so.
She wants to open a club and like opera sing and stuff like that.
You can do that right here in New York.
It always depends. If it's in the city, yeah. In a small town, she'll find people.
There are people everywhere.
Can she make it in Arkansas?
She got a slight chance.
Very slight.
No, I don't think she might survive. It's like a.
Oh, hey, dude. Will she survive in Arkansas? Good. Well, it's almost 6 o'clock, and I've been shooting for a couple hours. What started out really bad, I mean really bad, turned into really good. And here's the thing, I stuck with like 3 to 4 people that were really good, and I just expanded the chat. And that was fun, you know, I made these connections, and I love doing that. And that's what this show is about, right? She'll definitely survive.
And you know what's interesting? I'm so glad that person had said, you know, she's the captain of the ship, because when I had posted what I was doing, 98% of people were like, what the fuck are you doing? What is wrong with you? And one person, a photographer who had taken many photos of me in many, many shows, he was like, what did he say? He's like, you're a traitor. You're jumping ship. And my response to him was, first of all, fuck off, because I am the captain of my
ship,
which is what I want to do.
Yeah.
I have, and I'm not, you know, when I say, oh, I've done everything, like I'm over New York and I'm going to go on somewhere, that's never going to happen. My heart is breaking as a performer to know, as we know now, that Broadway is not going to even open up until June 2021.
Right.
If they're not opening up, none of my other clubs are going to open up. And we've seen it. La Mama, gone. Flea, gone. These are clubs that have been struggling to make it for 40 fucking years, like PBS. They're only making it because New Yorkers are giving that. New York is going to be fine. without me. I mean, will it miss me? Will it miss my flair? Absolutely. But I just feel like now, you know, not that I'm turning, you know, red states blue one vote at a time. You know, I kind of joked about that. And the first chance I can, I will register. I couldn't register to vote as an Arkansan because I still file all my taxes and I still do everything in New York. But if I could, I fucking would have. So I could cast my Democrat vote here.
Yeah.
And, you know, one thing about New Yorkers that I find, and it is very true, that it is one of the greatest cities in the world. But it's also that partner who fucks you the best, but also steals your money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I'm never going back there again. And then you're like, oh, but that dick was good. And then you get good and you're like, oh, God, that felt so fucking good. And then, you know, I fucked your sister. And you're like, what? You know what I mean? Like, I have not only survived, but I have thrived. I have been, and now I sound like our president, but I know from my inside that I have conquered more genres of art than any other person I know. I don't know anybody else who's sung at the Met and CBGBs. I don't know anybody else who's done stand-up comedy and then asked to do a piece at the fucking Guggenheim. I just don't. And that doesn't mean that I'm better than everybody. That doesn't mean shit. It means I'm my own weirdo. And I had become complacent. I had become just, you know, okay with everything. And I started to realize that I started in a lot of ways to not like my audience. I don't want to fucking ever see another bachelorette party with some bitch throwing up birthday cake vodka at a naked girl show and being like, yeah, oh, can I show my boobs? I didn't even know if I could do that. Yeah, you got some areola. You know what I mean? And I'm not done with New York. As a matter of fact, I'm part of 2 projects that are currently going on right now. One of them is a CGI virtual show where I'm going to be flying back because I have to put on one of those green suits with all the little balls and stuff.
Yeah, sure.
And it's going to be like a choose your own adventure live show. And so I am helping, like I'm producing the talent. And then there's also another, there's a 5-star, I can't give it out yet, but there's a 5-star restaurant in New York that's been around for a long time, Michelin restaurant. And they want to turn it into a full-time supper club. And they said the reason why they're doing that is because they want to build the whole thing around me. And yeah, it's pretty exciting stuff. They don't know that I've moved to Arkansas because there's no need for me to tell them that because it doesn't affect that situation. I told myself that I would be here through March and I would definitely, you know, get a really strong handle on starting to write my book, and then look for some places so I could make art out here. Now, my husband has said to me, he's like, I am never, ever moving to Arkansas, ever. And I said, I accept that right now because I never thought I would either. And believe me, I don't have any fantasy that everything is going to be easy and I'm just going to walk in and it's going to be like, Shelly! I want that struggle. I want to make a difference again. I want to, you know, I mean, of course I've had to hustle, but the only thing I haven't done is fucking won a Tony Award. And when I do, I'll come back when Broadway comes back and I'll play Annie Mae for fucking 100 and I'll get my Tony Award there. But go ahead.
I feel like just again earlier stuff. I when you were talking about this theater, I feel like a lot of producers or actors go, "I'm starting a small theater company in the middle of Ohio or Montana or something." Isn't it a thing where some people, you know, Meryl Streep probably has a small theater company in upstate New York or something like that. So it doesn't seem. It seems like something that some people would do. I mean, maybe not in Arkansas, in a small town, but.
Instead of me answering that question, I would like to then lob it back to you, Mr. Horn of the Ein selection.
Okay, got it.
Why do you think they would do that?
Oh, probably for the same reasons. Maybe they get a little burned out of New York, or it's nice to appeal to an audience that really wants to be there, or they feel like they're sharing experience. I'm going to take Shakespeare to Mississippi because they don't know what it is, and I bet they're going to like it, and I'm making an impact on this small group of people. And maybe, you know, it passes on to their kids and relatives or grandparents or something like that. Just the loving desire to get out of New York and share their art and turn on other people. And maybe find a cool little country setting like a Woodstock. I mean, just viscerally, visually, it sounds like a nice thing. Yeah. Could be something really cool. When you were talking about it, I keep thinking of outside, but it's not going to be outside. But something, you know, outdoor theater in the summer. Maybe that's more in my mind is warm weather outside type things. And it also made me think of La La Land because the whole movie, the guy is like, I'm going to open my own jazz club. I'm going to open my own jazz club. And he was like trying, but then he got sucked into the world of making money with this band and I'm not crazy about. But eventually he comes through and he makes his Debs. I can't believe I remember that. Did you see La La Land? I imagine.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. And
Of course you did.
I liked it and I didn't like it. There were a lot of things that I liked about it, but there was a lot of really pretentious things about it that I didn't enjoy. Like, I like fantasy.
Yeah.
I don't like disassociation. You know what I mean? And as a musician,
yeah,
it's gonna fucking happen, son. Why? Because you're a hot white dude. You know what I mean? You're Ryan Gosling. The average person.
Yeah.
They don't talk, and that's what I mean. It's like it's a nice fantasy, but what they don't talk about is what the rent is there. What they don't talk about is how hard it is to get a liquor license. What they don't talk about is, sure, he has his own club, but he's paying insurance. He's doing all of these things. So people have these, and you know this. How many times do people?
I know, but it's a movie.
Dance. You know, why don't you? How come you don't show your stuff at the Chelsea? You know, you're like, oh, because I'm lazy and stupid. I never thought of that. You know what I mean? But people have these fantastical ideas that things are so easy to do. The art is the easy part. It's dealing with the people, with the galleries, with the venues, with the producers, with the money people, with the contracts, with all. That's the hard part. Making art is nature, but having to deal with everybody else. And I've had, you know, like I said, the only thing that I haven't done is won a Tony Award, and I've never had my own club. The majority of the places that I work, it might take me a couple of years, but I'm able to sort of strong arm my way through persistence, talent, and product to say, I have some really good ideas. Why don't we try this? But you know that as well from working, you know, because you work with a lot of really famous people, you know, like I know that you work with Spencer and you do all kinds of stuff, and yeah. And, but you also know that you're incredibly talented, but you're not threatened by those other people because you know that you are equals. You're just not in the same financial or sponsorship, you know, as it were. And it only takes one really good gig for people then to be like, I just want to throw money at you. And I'm not saying that people are throwing money at Spencer, but he's done, you know, when he first started, it wasn't like that, you know, and people were like, what the fuck are you doing? Just like every artist, you know. And I don't want to be Basquiat. I don't want to be Nina Simone. I don't want to be a performer that has had such huge dreams but wasn't able to complete them because I was too busy working for somebody else.
Sure.
And now, you know, we see, especially with artists, you know this, Andrew, that the time when you can famous is when you're fucking dead. And then people are spending $15 million for your painting, And you can't even get that money to go to your family. Or like Simone, you have a lifelong dream of being a classical artist, and you actually can't, because you're on this train and people are telling you can't do that. Well, I've been told 1,000 times that you can't do that. Why would you can't do that? And I don't go out and do things because people tell me that I can't do it. But I find peace in that, because whenever anybody has ever said to me, you can't do that, I've always done it, and I've done it successfully, because I don't listen to other. I mean, of course, I take advice. I take direction when I'm in shows and people say, maybe try it this way or maybe do that. Because if you're not able to, to take criticism, or you're not able to take notes, then you're also not a real artist either. Then you're just all because I fucking don't do everything by a long shot. And when I was at Juilliard, I used to work in the prop shop there, and Miss Kate Dale, who you probably know from all of the Coney Island Mermaids Parade, because she's been she's been the queen of the Mermaid Parade, oh my God, 16 times, I think. And she donated a lot of furniture to me, because I'm not never coming back to New York. My husband, my apartment, my dog is there. I'm coming back and forth. But she said, I want to give you furniture that has been on Broadway, at the Met. Viola Davis sat on this couch. Val Kilmer sat on this couch. Robin Williams, broke this table. And it was such a beautiful gift to get, like this chair right here. This chair that I have right here. It's like from the fucking 1800s. Wow. It's been repaired about 80 times, but it is solid wood. And the experiences of the people who've sat in this chair, who have done these things, she gave me all of these props. And then the best, she said, save this book, or she said, save this box. Do not open it until you have your 1 week there. And today was my oh my God, I feel so emotional. Will I start a war? I don't know. I opened it, and the title of the book is, Will This Make a Theater? And it was published in the early 70s, and it was how to know wherever you are, in whatever building you are, whether it's a bar or a church or a bowling alley, what you need, the bare bones, to make it an actual theater. And that spoke to me so much, because out of all of my friends and all of my, people, she never questioned why I was going. She never said, what are you doing there? What's happening? Are you nervous? She just said, because she knows me, here is this book. This is the only thing that you're going to need, because you have everything else. And it just blew me away. Blew me away.
Shelly. Blew me away. I think I got to cut it there.
Yeah.
Because in my mind, I just remembered next week's guest. I just wanted to show a picture.
Yeah.
Because, wait a minute. Okay, that's good. Oh, we can stay on thing.
Ooh.
Back. I know.
Ooh.
It's David Patillo from a band called Strange Magic, and I only met him recently, but seems like a really good guy. We had no other people in common, and I just asked him to send me a few pictures. He's also, for those of you in New York, he's playing on Saturday from 6 to 9, this Saturday, at a place at Rivington and Allen. Marshall Stack is the venue. So David Patillo, he said it's this cool place that they begged him for a year to play there, and it was small and he never did. And then when COVID hit, he's like, all right, well, can I do it in the window or outside? And now it's become I don't want to say a weekly thing, but it's been consistent. So I'm going to go out. I'm going to film a little bit. I might interview people, because now I feel like I'm in a groove of doing interviews, which I enjoy. Back to the dog, the cat days. But anyway, so he's my And then after that, we got assorted people. Abby, I've been asking for a while. We'll see if November. I have a lot of fun, risque footage of her from the past. We didn't get to show bubble bath stuff, but next time.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
There it is. You don't get to see my posterior, but you can just imagine the lusciousness that it is.
There is one photo of your posterior, so because I think butts.
One of my favorite photos ever, Andrew.
One of your favorite what's ever?
One of my favorite photos of myself ever. I'm like, my ass looks amazing there. I remember exactly what I wore too. I was wearing a black tank top and a white ruffled skirt that had cherry prints on it. See?
All right, just because we're here, we're going through. We're gonna speed through it. Oh, let's sing a song. You wanted to sing a song? Why don't we? These are 30 images. I'll leave them on for 1.5 to 2 seconds a piece, and let's give me a song. Ready? Where you could sing improv. Here I am in your chair,
of course,
or whatever you want to do.
Tell me when.
When?
And here we are with Andrew Einhorn, doing what we do, singing some songs and showing some soft porn. I was in a shower, I was in a bath. Well, we smoked some flower and you saw my ass because we are here with Andrew Einhorn. He's a filmmaker, he's a comic, and so much more. If you're looking for something to do, please join him every Wednesday. Don't forget to bring your shampoo, because you're probably gonna get in that bathtub with Andrew.
Oh, I thought we were gonna. Well, thank you, Shelly. That was good. We got that in. And
if anybody would like to come, I do live shows every Wednesday and Saturday on the Face Libre. And I have all new sets, all new costumes. In the 6 months, I haven't repeated one show. And you'll be able to see my backdrops and all that stuff. So come on. So I hope you're fixing to come down and see one of my shows.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Thank you for always being you.
Oh, thanks, kid.
Yeah.
Likewise. All right, I'm taking us out. Your song and your picture. Voila.
Awful place. Knuckle merchants and the bankers too, who must get up and learn those rules. Riverman and Crazy Chief, one says sun and one says sleep. Now the AM, the FM, the PM too, turning out that boogaloo. It gets you up and it gets you out, but how long can you keep it up? I said, give me Honda, give me Sony. It's so cheap and it's so phony. Hong Kong dollar, Indian cents, English pounds and the Benjamins. I said, New York! Don't stop and give it all you got. Say New York, come on and get up. Don't stop and give it all you got. Say New York, come on and get up. Don't stop and give it all you got. Say New York, get up. You just don't stop and give it all you got. Looking for a rise to better my station. Take my baby to sophistication. See the ads, well isn't it nice? Better work hard cause I know the price. Now never mind that, it's time for the bus. And you'll get on cause you're one of us. The clocks go slow in the place of work. The minutes drag and the hours jerk. profit, it's his loss. You work anyway, the lunch bell rings. You take 1 hour and you do your thing.